What's up everyone, IAMOBG for TastingSkills.com. Welcome back to another episode. Now today we're talking about Elijah Craig. Barrel proof. This bourbon is 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% barley. It's aged in cast American oak with a char of level 3. And it's a minimum of 12 years. And the batch number is B520. So Elijah Craig, which is owned by Evan Hill, that also makes several other bourbon brands like Larceny, and I'm actually doing a video about that one that I'm gonna drop shortly, so if you want to see that, you should subscribe. Otherwise, they make Heaven Williams, they make the famous Old Fitzgerald. I mean, they just make a lot of different bourbons and a lot of different brands, and this is a big distillery. So Elijah Craig establishes the distillery in 1789. But when we look at actually Elijah Craig, how many whiskeys are they? Well, this represents 5 bourbons and 1 rye. Let's cover them real quickly here. Starting with the Elijah small batch that comes in at a proof of 94. They removed the 12-year-old age statement in 2016, and now it's a mix of 8 to 12-year-old. The mash bill is the same, 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% barley. Now this retails for $25, so it's a really good steal. Then we have the Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye that comes in at 94 proof, and this is 35% corn, 51% rye, and 15% barley. There is no age statement on this, and it's also charred at a level 3. Then we get the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, and you guessed it, it's also 94 proof, and this is a minimum of 8 to 12-year-old, and it retails for $75. Then we have the barrel proof, which is the one I have today, and like I said, 127.2 proof, 63.6 ABV, and this is a minimum of 12-year-old at $75. Then we have the 2 big ones, which are the Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Bourbon 18-year-old. It comes in at 90 proof or 45% ABV. That one retails for $300 if you can actually find it. And then the one, the only, the 23-year-old single barrel that is, again, 90 proof, and that retails close to $1,300. Now, about 10 years ago, you could go out and find some Elijah Craig, 21, 22, but they discontinued that, and there is some 23 out there, and if you can find an old bottle of 23, I'm sure that there's some floating out there. Back 10 years ago, you could probably buy it for like $130 for a 23-year-old bourbon, which is just insanity. But what does this actually taste like? Well, before we get in there, do you want to taste like a pro? Head over to TastingSkills.com, put your name and email into the magical yellow box, and then I will send you my free 17-page guide to the fundamentals of tasting. So what do they taste like? Well, let's get into it. Starting with, of course, the Elijah Craig barrel proof, but there is a little catch here. I did make a cut since, this is 127.2 proof, so usually what I do is I cut one down to 100 proof, which is a in-bond proof, just to see what's the difference. Because once you start going over 125 proof, well, the alcohol just shows itself. So let's taste them. Starting with the barrel proof. The color has a deep red wood edge with a nice rich brown amber color. On the nose, the alcohol isn't overpowering. Caramel, lots of wood notes, a little hints of cherry, some sweet wood notes that are really beautiful. This has all kinds of aromas, and I have to say that just this fills the room. On the palate, the burn is minimal into layers of spices on the tongue that carries that smoky oak into a long finish of acidity that delivers layers upon layers of that sweet spiciness. You get a lot of wood tannin on the upper palate and on the mouthfeel. It just keeps on delivering for a lengthy finish. Now, I have to say that the barrel proof is just so good. The alcohol, even at 127.2, doesn't show itself as much, and it's just so good. The aromas just fill the room, and I'm actually really surprised because I thought the burn would be a lot higher, but This is really, really good. All right, let's taste the 100 proof one. On the nose, it has a lot more layers of caramel, and this doesn't look like it needs much water, and it delivers the same complexity and the flavor profile as the higher proof sample. This whiskey is stunning when it comes to wood tannin, and it really delivers a lot of flavor. You get, like I said, some really nice spiciness, caramel, vanilla, and such a solid finish. Actually, the funny part is that I found that the higher proof sample was better than the lower proof. Yes, the nose was a little bit more sweet and it was more accessible in the mouthfeel, but after I put 2-3 drops of water, sat around, tasted, got more into it, I have to say I'm really impressed with this batch. I mean, this is so good, and for $75, 127.2 proof, cask strength, 12-year-old, this is so delicious. I've put the links to all of the things as usual below. This Elijah Craig barrel proof is an absolute buy. I mean, you should try to find as much of this and buy some. I also recommend that you try to find the toasted barrels. Those are the big two that you need to chase down since they're still accessible. If you get a chance to find a bottle of the 18-year-old or the 23-year-old, and I suggest that you buy it right away. This is such a collector's item, especially the older vintages, and I put a link to older pictures of the 23 before they updated the packaging in 2016. So if you do find some of that, please buy it and don't open it. Those bottles are worth their weight in gold. All right, that's gonna do it for me. I'm IAMOBG for tastingskills.com. Please remember to smash that like button. Make sure to comment if you have any questions. And remember, my friend, stay sober. Peace.